This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Sean Preston.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today, we have another couple of good neighbors on the show with us today, and that is Allie and Sinda Simpson of the Mushroomery at whitepinemeadows. How are you this morning?
Good. Fantastic.
Are we all ready for the potential 40 centimeters of snow that are going to get dumped on us soon?
No.
We don't even know where to put it anymore. So,
yeah, that was a front-loaded question. I think there wasn't going to be. Yes, I'm always ready for the snow.
that's right.
But I totally agree with you. I look at the snowbanks in my neighborhood, and I just don't remember the last time that they were quite that high. Like my snowblower doesn't even get over one of the mounds; it just kind of falls back down in, and then that's where the period of frustration starts setting in. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, never had an opportunity to meet you ladies before, and I do it on purpose to not do too much digging into our guests before they come on the show. That lets my curiosity lead the conversation a little bit. So why don't we dive right into it, and why don't you tell our listeners a little bit more about your business?
Go ahead. Okay. So we own a business called the Mushroomery at whitepinemeadows. We are growing gourmet mushrooms here in Ontario. We're extremely happy that it's a local product that is as nutritious as it is delicious.
I am a big mushroom fan, and I'll go even one step further to say that I am getting married in June, and my fiance and her daughter are kind of more in like the paleo, kind of vegetarian, vegan, in that kind of spectrum range there. So mushrooms happens to be probably number one across the board. They're almost in every meal. And when we're going to do the odd time that we do steak, because I do eat meat. So when it's steak night, we'd like to do the Lion King mushrooms. They're super stamped. They come, we buy them at the vegan pantry in town. And and I honestly cook them exactly the exact same way I do a steak. I marinate it the same way I do, and the girls absolutely love it. So we're big fans of the mushroom world over on this side of the fence.
Yeah, they really do make a great meat replacement.
Yeah, like same kind of texture, that type of thing. So let's dive a little bit more into, okay, so we grow mushrooms. We grow it on the farm. Do we pull them in from a local supplier? How does that kind of process work in your business, and how many types of varieties of mushrooms are we talking about here?
Go ahead.
So there's kind of a couple different sides to mushroom growing. So you have the preparation of the grow blocks that we grow on. So we don't do that side of it. It's a lot of lab work. You need a lab with a laminar flow hood and all that jazz. So we don't do that side of it. We purchase our blocks from a supplier down in Sunderland called Meadows. But we grow them. So we pick up the blocks and we bring them to our farm. We grow lion's mane, blue oyster, pink oyster, chestnut, some pioppino, and we're working on turkey tail right now, which is a really cool one. But basically, these blocks are made of wood and soy hulls, and they are sterilized, injected with mycelium. By the time we get them, they're mostly what's the word I'm looking for? Colonized. There we go. They're mostly colonized, and we put them in our room and we cut holes in them. And the room is really the key ingredient to making them grow. So we have a 36-foot aluminum trailer that we have heavily insulated to, endure the Canadian winter. It is very, very micromanaged climate. So it has to maintain around 18 degrees at all times and 85% humidity to get those mushrooms growing. So that's really our side of it, is the maintenance of that room, making sure it stays within those really tight parameters to have those mushrooms come off in a kind of predictable way.
I've got like 20 more questions on this. I'm probably a very good choice. I'm not going to knock Jeff because he's a fantastic host, but Jeff is on the bodybuilding side of things. So he's got his food dialed in. So the flavor side of it might not necessarily be there from that perspective. Whereas on my side, especially my fiance and I, we love to cook. And like I said, mushrooms are often on the plate when we're eating. So first thing that comes to mind is it must be absolutely fantastic walking into 18 degrees and 85% humidity in the middle of winter when you're going to check in on the mushrooms. Am I right?
Yeah, absolutely. The other week was minus 27 and I go in there and it's so nice.
Actually, we were cleaning yesterday, and I tend to always be wearing shorts and Crocs and a t-shirt, and because it is actually, with the way the winter's been, it's kind of like a little slice of heaven.
I got my Crocs on right now, so loving it. You had me at mycelium. As I am a fan of mushrooms, I watched the documentary Fantastic Fungi on Netflix. I'm sure you ladies have probably seen that.
Oh, yes.
And for those who haven't, let me drop the knowledge bomb, and then I'll let you ladies elaborate on it, because I'm sure your knowledge level on this stuff is a little bit more than mine. But the mycelium network and understanding the life cycle, how it starts and ends with the mushroom, how they have the ability to decompose and restructure things that die and turn them into life, and how that just evolutionary cycle, they've been around and will be around as long as the planet doesn't explode, and how those little roots that they have in their network that they create blew me away when I found out that that's how trees talk to each other and they're actually clustered in families. I was quite blown away by that.
Mm-hmm. Actually, one of the most exciting things, in my opinion, is that one of the oyster family of mushroom, they're actually using to consume plastic.
Holy shit, really?
And it's even gone so far as they actually have an oyster now that can consume the plastic, and the oyster in the end you can still consume, and it is you're not getting the toxins from the plastic. It is actually human grade, and you can consume it. So to me, there's so many things about mushrooms that are very, very exciting on a scientific front that I think that that is incredible. I hope the research continues on with that.
Oh yeah, totally. I agree with that wholeheartedly. And then they have the psychedelic mushrooms and microdosing, and being able to, they're looking at studies now, might have the ability to be able to cure Alzheimer's and cure, if I'm not mistaken, Parkinson's disease and some of these other, diseases that we just, haven't been able to find a cure for yet.
Actually, and lion's mane, which is probably our top seller mushroom. One of the reasons that I enjoyed growing it so much and researching it, I have a mother who's recently passed that had Alzheimer's, and a father with Parkinson's. So when we started kind of exploring the world of mushrooms, this rang like straight through to my heart. Like this is such an important level, because the beta glucans that are when they're released in the lion's mane, that is where the research is being done, is that the potential for staving off dementia and Parkinson's and MS is phenomenal. So I'm hoping they don't ease up on that, because it's naturally occurring, and it's very exciting.
That is very exciting. So my next question for you is, what was the thought process that went in behind the 5 or 6 types of mushrooms that you decided to grow? How did you guys kind of pick and choose that?
So the ones that we grow are probably the most common and straightforward to cultivate indoors. You kind of need types that all require the same parameters. So we only have one grow room right now. We are working on building a second one. But if we were to grow like a maitake or even turkey tail, there's different levels of humidity, different temperatures they prefer. So having one room, you kind of are, you have to grow all the ones that grow in that particular setting.
Right.
And they also happen to be the most popular, the ones that are kind of hitting the market right now and people are getting kind of comfortable with.
Do you guys ever kind of put out there a recipe kind of book that shows the mushrooms that kind of, go in what dish? I'd be super curious to get my hands on something like that.
So we have a brochure that we typically hand out to all of our new customers that has just a recipe for each mushroom. And we also have those same recipes on our website. And then I have shared a few reels and TikToks with a couple of recipes that I've done. But definitely something I want to be doing more.
That's very cool. So everybody has this, they go through these stepping stones, right? We have our path of life. We walk that path. of life. Some people come out of the womb and they know what they want to do. They're, and they do that for the rest of their life. Other people, it's a bit different. So can you share your story with our listeners? How did you ladies kind of get into doing what you're doing today? What was that roadmap leading up to where you are now?
So my entire working career, I've owned a business. Previous to this, I had 20 years experience actually in Barrie. We owned a staffing and recruiting company. I had a fantastic business partner, but just during COVID, we ended up selling. The one thing that I discovered is that I don't know if I'd make a very good employee. So after selling our company, we did, reasonably well, and we took 18 months off. And actually, Ali, during that time, for 7 years, actually, she worked with us at our company in Barrie. So after the 18 months of kind of, taking some time off and reflecting and relaxing, it was time to start up again. And the thought of going into a job was terrifying. So we have a farm. We have a 60-acre farm out in Oro Medonte. And the one thing we have always dreamed of is being able to produce food. Food security, sustainability. When it came to picking where we were going to go, I'm going to be 100% honest. We had no idea what we were going to do. We've dabbled with sheep, but it was just more of a hobby for us. Seeing sheep go to the auction was very sad. So we weren't very good at raising and selling sheep. It was too emotional. So we wanted to get into growing something. And to be honest, I literally just started going through the agricultural website for Ontario, looking what the up and coming crops were. We examined saffron, which is one of the most expensive spices in the world. And after a couple of days, nope, this is out of our league. Looked at vertical gardening because it's becoming very popular at this moment.
Right.
Looked at doing microgreens, but there's enough heavy competitors in the area that we knew we'd have a difficult time kind of finding our market. And I stumbled upon gourmet mushrooms and, opened up a book, started doing a bit of reading, did some research. Do we have the capability? Yes. The initial financial outlay wouldn't be so, massive that we couldn't handle it. And just literally the next week said, we're doing it. And we went out, bought a 36-foot, aluminum trailer, and that was it. We never looked back. I managed to convince my daughter to come on board. She's been integral with with our other businesses for marketing and social media and having that youthful approach and look on life. And I think it's super beneficial to have, a different demographic working with you. And while she didn't believe me at first that we were going to do this and make a success out of it, I think we're seeing it now. We're starting to see the results. So
very cool journey. Ali, what is it like to work with your mom?
Be nice.
I mean, we've worked together for such a long time now. It's good. I think working with family is a lot harder than people
for sure
understand. I think it sounds easy in theory, like, oh, you work with your family every day. Like, it can be hard, but generally I really enjoy it.
And we also throw in the loop is my husband, who was also an employee of the business in Barrie for 20 years and is an employee of this business as well. Mm-hmm. So actually, and part owner. So we're a pretty tight-knit pod. And yes, we have our moments where we can get a little rough with each other, but at the end, we always respect each other and respect each other's opinions. So, yeah.
Oh, that's a very cool story. Always nice to see local family-run businesses here in our community. So, commend you guys for all of that stuff. Okay, let's move on. Actually, one question before that just came to mind. Do you guys sell direct to consumer as well?
Yeah, so we're at a number of farmers markets. I can't really announce what's coming up because we just submitted all of our applications for the summer. But as it currently sits, we're at the Aurelia Fairgrounds Market on Saturdays, as well as the Aurelia Downtown Farmers Market every Saturday.
Beautiful.
We'll also be in the Innisfil Market, Farmers Market in Stroud, which is an exciting market as well. Mm-hmm. So still waiting to hear back from a few more.
We also do home delivery. So if you order on our website, we deliver to Barrie, Oro, and Aurelia. For orders over $25, it's free. And you can also pick up at our farm by appointment.
Wonderful. I had to ask the question to see where and how can I get my hands on it. But that delivery service makes it super convenient. I mean, that's the world that we live in now. Is that speed, that ease of convenience, that type of thing. And we love going to farmers markets. I know there's a lot of people that love going to the farmers markets, buying local, supporting local, and obviously with everything that's going down,
especially right now,
the border, that's the main kind of message that's being spread. And if you want to take a silver lining out of it, in my opinion, I think that's probably the biggest one.
Absolutely.
Buy and support local. So are there any myths, any misconceptions out there that you maybe want to clear the air for the people out there who might not be overly familiar with mushrooms, that type of thing?
Probably the first thing that people would comment, oh, you're growing mushrooms, so you going to spend your life living in the dark and playing with poop. Neither of those are true with what we grow. We actually have full UV lighting, or sorry, LED lighting in our trailer. It is actually kind of if you can read in the room, that's enough light to grow mushrooms by. So it's actually quite lovely. And we do not grow on compost or manure. Everything, as Ali had mentioned earlier, is grown on wood. So those are two myths that I like to get out of the way right away.
Is there a difference between them growing in manure versus wood? I'm curious to know if there is even.
Ours are extremely well. The ones that are grown on manure, of course, prefer compost to that is what feeds them. The biggest difference that I find is that what we grow, when you take the mushroom off of a block that is of wood, they're extremely clean. Often when you buy mushrooms from the store and you're getting a white button cremini, they're often, there's the dirt on the bottom, or you feel the need to wash them. What we harvest is incredibly clean.
That's cool. Very cool to know. Because I mean, I guess, for some people, it might be a sticking point. Like, oh yeah, it grows.
Absolutely. There's lots of people that prefer not to eat mushrooms because of the fact they're grown on poop. And we try to get that cleared right away.
Hey, so there you go. For all the people who are worried about the poop, we don't have to worry it on this show. So keep listening. I love this next question because we talked a lot about business, right? When you're in business, oftentimes we enjoy so much of what we do. It's not really work, right? We can dump long hours into it because we're so passionate about what we do. I think that rings true for most business owners. And there's only so much time in a day, so much time in a week, so much time in a month. And some people call it a balance, and I kind of disagree with that. Like, a balance means that everything's perfectly equal. And I think we work more than we play. So I like to call it a harmony, finding that tune that seems to fit the mold that rings the best. And so when you're not working, well, let's go one at a time, but when you're not working on or in your business, what do you ladies like to do for fun?
Am I starting?
Yeah.
I have a couple of Japanese import cars that I like to work on. So that's kind of my side hobby.
How did you kind of find your interest from cars? Does that start like super young, or did that come from influence from other people, or did that come from?
I always had a passing interest growing up, but didn't really get into working on them until I met my fiance, and we kind of got into it together. So we have quite a few cars between the two of us. We collect just old, obscure Japanese cars, and that's what we do together. So
it's safe to say you're a grease monkey?
Yes.
That's awesome. And what about yourself, Sinda?
Well, I guess her love for Japanese cars has impacted my husband and I as well.
Oh, really?
In an odd way. My husband and I absolutely love traveling. We also love keeping to Canada. I think Canada is, if you live in this country and you haven't explored it, it's such a huge mistake to always think you need to jump on a plane and leave our, the Canada alone. So when we sold our company, my husband and I bought ourselves a treat. We imported a Japanese right-hand drive van to modify and turn into our own, little motorhome. So that is what we do. Any moment we have a little piece of property up near Minden, and any chance we get, we jump in our van. If we can't get away with the business, it is very difficult to get away for any long period of time right now. But we toss our 2 standard poodles in, and we go up and build ourselves a fire and enjoy just being in nature and the peace and solitude.
That's awesome. So you mentioned the poodles. Do you have just dogs? There are more animals in your family?
Let's see. In my family, we have 2 standard poodles, 6 sheep, and a llama.
And a llama.
And his name is Baby, and he is just a despicable creature.
I heard llamas, they like to spit. Is he a spitter?
Occasionally.
Occasionally.
Yeah, occasionally. It's terrible stuff.
Yeah, like you look at them and like, man, that's so cute. You just want to get in there and rub your face in it, and all of a sudden it's spitting on you.
Well, I think there's probably pleasant ones out there, but ours is a livestock guardian, he does a great job at that. His name's Baby, but he just not a friendly, not a pet. Has some very quirky, unusual behaviors. Put the run on Allie once, so Allie does not like this llama.
No.
Always interesting to learn about animals and their unique behaviors out there. Yeah, I was in the car business for 9 years. Happened kind of by accident, so was never a car guy, so to speak. But having done 9 years in the business, I was traveling B2B reps. So we helped automotive dealers retain their clients through marketing. So we'd invite them to come in for like a 3-day event, and we'd help the dealer set up and host an event, and they would be able to move some of the product, and then their customers would be able to take advantage of some kind of exclusive loyalty deals and stuff like that. So having been standing around in showrooms waiting for GMs for the length of time I did over 9 years, I've developed a little bit more of a fascination for automobiles. But the way you ladies are doing it, having those cool Japanese imports, it's pretty cool. I'm certainly intrigued. Might have to come and visit the mushroom farm, and then Ali, you might have to take me for a little tour. Take a look at all of the cool cars. I'm sure they look pretty awesome. So when we decide to walk this path of life that everybody walks, I mean, life is not easy, and we have to move forward in time. We do our thing, we live our lives, and then life seems to like to throw things in our way from time to time. Those are life challenges, they're obstacles, hurdles, things we need to tackle, so to speak. Sometimes they're hardships, sometimes they're tragedies, and some people experience those a little bit more than others do, unfortunately. But what I've always been fascinated with in human beings is our ability to be able to overcome these challenges and try to find the positive to move forward, because there is that phase of suck where we grieve, we go through things, we go through those moments where it's hard because life is hard. But when we come out the other side, looking at the glass half full, pulling silver linings out of the situation, can oftentimes do a lot of positive for the mind as we move forward through these things. So I wanted to ask you individually if you've ever had a hardship, a life challenge that maybe you overcame, maybe made you better, maybe made you stronger, maybe you pulled some silver linings from it.
So I think for both of us, this probably is the one that stands out the most. In April of 2021, so we're kind of partway into the pandemic, I was diagnosed with liver cancer. So that was a really obviously negative experience. It was a challenging time, a challenging time in general, and then an exceptionally challenging time with a cancer diagnosis. And after, fortunately for me, I didn't have to have chemo or radiation or anything. I just had a fairly significant surgery. But in the following years, really, my mental health, I really struggled from severe depression. But I think, working through that and coming out the other side, it sounds like such a cliche, but you see what is really important in life. And in that way, I guess it was a positive, kind of reprioritizing things.
Yeah, oftentimes when a human being experiences something like that, something significant, for most of us out there who haven't had that type of experience, life can be taken for granted. And if we're not thinking of these things on a regular basis, I'm lucky to have a good business partner. He's got his 14 rules of life on there. Has read a bunch of books, Jeff, and one of them is, live you live today like it's your last day, and having living with someone who's also had cancer and has gone through that experience. I learned from her as much as I can, because before I met those two, I was just kind of off in la la land, like you're planning so far ahead in the future. And I try not to do that as much anymore. I try to stop and smell the flowers, so to speak, a little bit more than not. But everything's good on your side of the fence now. Moving forward, health is in good order.
Yep, coming up on 4 years now.
Very happy to hear that. Very happy to hear that. How about yourself, Sinda?
That was definitely the most stressful moment of my life. And I guess the other one that and they kind of tie together, that would have shaped my life radically, was the recession in 2008. Having a business, we lost just an incredible amount of money, and had to, we had a wonderful life enjoying out in Horseshoe Valley. Ali was in grade 7 at that point, and had to go from living the life of Riley to literally selling our cars, going through the liquor cabinet, pulling out bottles, anything that wasn't open, returning them. Just feeling of absolute despair. And I look at it as one of the most powerful moments of my life. Spent months in tears, in anger, and not understanding why this was happening to me, to going, wow, what an incredible family I had. We got rid of our cable, and we started to, in the evenings, we would get together as a family and go for walks. We would, beautiful Copeland Forest. Life became it's not about things. It's about, embracing the ones that you love. And I would say her cancer was definitely, you get off your path a little bit, put us right back on it. So those moments at the fire where we have our entire family there, there's nothing more important.
I would totally agree with you on that one. I'm very close with mine as well too, and those moments that bring you back, those little silver linings. Those are the positives that we try to take from that. But I really appreciate you opening up a bit for us and sharing some of those. And I'll share with you mine. Kind of had life pretty easy for the most part until 2022 is when I decided to leave my job in the automotive business. I always wanted to be a business owner, and I took a leap of faith on something I did when I was 18. I had a short stint in it, but I had an oversight that it was evenings and weekends for the rest of my life, and the business didn't shut off. And that was a big lesson that I took from that. So I had a very hard fall from grace. Actually, I came down so hard, I hit the ground, and then I actually bounced up and hit it again, metaphorically speaking. So I'm very fortunate to not have had a health concern. I think that's probably a little bit more on the serious side, but financial crisis, the whole bit. If I didn't have family around to support me, if I didn't set up my financials the right way, being able to, when you're loaning money from, whether it's family or from the bank, and then starting our business that we have now today, and you have no idea where it's going to go, and the fear sets in, and just trying to have a level of resiliency and just focusing in, kind of like putting the blinders on. It's like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go make it happen. And it wasn't until like, I don't know, late last year, like start of this year, you're finally in that kind of position where you just kind of can take a step back for the first time in, I don't know, 4 years, and be able to take a breather for like a half a second and be like, okay, like I got over that kind of first hurdle. Obviously the hurdles never stop, but yeah, I had my moment where I didn't know what was going to happen with my life. Do I have to sell my house? Do I have to move back in with my parents? Am I going to lose everything that I worked for? But made it out on the other end.
Well, I have to say that I'm very thankful for having Ali in my life and in business, because she reminds me probably every day, what are you doing for fun? When are you going to slow down? This, and she had, and maybe it's from cancer, for perhaps watching me work excessively in our previous business. She keeps her eye on me and keeps me grounded and keeps reminding me that work-life balance, it has to be there. Life is too short, and I guess she has a better appreciation for it. And she keeps her eye on me. I greatly appreciate it.
I'm starting to get a little bit of the understanding of how the dynamic works. It's pretty cool. Coming from a pretty strong family background, I can certainly see that. It's certainly appreciated. So what's one thing that you wish our listeners knew about your business?
Mushrooms come in every shape and size. They have incredible flavor profiles that are all unique and different. The textures are all unique and different. Be brave, step out, and try them. And when I meet people at the market and they kind of throw their hands up, oh, no, I only like to buy them at the grocery store. It's like, there's so many unique qualities, which is why Ali made up our brochure with all the recipes in it. I like to hand out the recipe and say, just dare, just try it. You're going to be thrilled and excited when you put them on your plate.
Yeah, for sure. And the barrier to entry is not that steep either. It's not even steep at all. You grab a couple of mushrooms. It doesn't cost you that much. And we talk about all those benefits. Here we go, me talking about the benefits of mushrooms again.
Well, and I think that is one of the things that, like, as a kid growing up, I was kind of, my mom taught me that, you have them on steak, but a mushroom is really an empty food source. It doesn't have a lot of nutritional benefits. It's just, you add it for a little bit of flavor on your steak, and it is so not the truth. And they are just so densely packed with nutritional benefits that the world needs to kind of learn a little bit more about them in that regard.
Yeah, after this, I'm going to be going downstairs and I'm going to go run to my fiance and say, I just had a sweet ass podcast with like a couple of nice ladies in our local community. You know what we talked about for like an hour? Talked about mushrooms. She's going to All right. Well, I'm sure there are definitely going to be some people who certainly learned a thing or two today, but I'm sure there's going to be some people that want to learn a little bit more about you guys and more about mushrooms. And so for those who are, what would be one of the best ways they can go ahead and reach you?
So you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at whitepinemeadows, and you can also go on our website, whitepinemeadows.ca.
Love it. Well, thank you very much for coming on the show. It was a great opportunity. The pleasure is all mine on having to meet you and learning a little bit more about your journey, and wishing you all the best out there.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpwithjeffandsean.com. That's gnpwithjeffandsean.com. Or call 705-413-3775.